You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Rizzoli Isles After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Rizzoli Isles After Show.
I just want to listen to the song. Can we just listen to the song, or do I have to talk? All right. Hey, guys. Bing is for doing, and what are we doing? We're doing another Rizzoli Isles after show here at AFTERBUZZ TV. We are on Season 4, Episode 6, All for One, which should have been called Hit and Run. I'm Krisily Kennedy, and tonight I have my fabulous co-hosts with me. Hey, ladies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tiona Hobson.
I'm Jenifer Golden.
Oh,
hey.
Yeah. Hey. We'll be here all night.
We won't.
No, they're going to shut us down. And we are sorry that we were delayed tonight. There was some scheduling problems with shows. So we are going to have to bring you a shorter show so that the whole night is not completely messed up. So we're going to try to help the night get back on track. So forgive us for not bringing you as long of a show as we usually do. So I guess we'll just get right into the crime tonight, which was the oddest hit and run I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because the man was not really running away. He was kind of running through the woods and then just turned and there was a car.
The road did seem to come out of nowhere.
It was weird. He was like in the woods and then he wasn't.
Yeah, I thought he was in a cornfield somewhere and then
it's like a Halloween maze.
Yeah, it was like a Halloween thing, and then all of a sudden there was a road and a car and he was dead.
Yeah.
It was odd.
And then, so you guys always say that it's always the first person we see. And I've never believed you. Not that I've never believed you, but maybe I've never caught on to that spot. And tonight it was the first person we saw.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have to clarify it by saying not only did we first see the girls first, but the first person that any of the detectives or more talk to is the killer, because it totally was.
And I know at first we were confused. We were like, oh, well, maybe it's not them because the camera just kind of showed them and no one talked to them.
Like they could have been extras.
Yeah, they could have just been extras that we were.
Which I actually thought about it when we saw them. I was like, whatever, call us. We'll be extras. Like, no big deal if you're just going to show them for like 5 seconds. But then they were the murderers.
But then they talked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And they were smart.
And they cried.
They cried, and they wanted to know how to handle the situation.
How to cope.
With
their loss of their teacher.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really weird thing to ask, like, they don't know that Moore is the medical examiner. She could just be a cop. I think that might be a really weird thing. Like, I feel like that should have set up a flag immediately. Because I feel like if you saw a teacher or someone you know that had just been killed and the police come up to you and ask you, were you a student? I don't know if your first question would be, do you have any advice how to cope?
Maybe that was their cover-up or whatever they thought they were doing. I don't know. It was a strange episode again, I think. So it was weird.
It's a weird question,
It's
though,
a weird question because I don't think like that. My first thought isn't, oh my gosh, how am I gonna cope with this? It's, oh my gosh, my teacher's dead, and you're still kind of in shock from that.
But I feel like your parent or maybe a guidance counselor at school, you would ask that question.
Right.
But like the random police officer that you've never met,
who just came over and made reporters stop asking you questions. It's not like she came over and there was some traumatic experience happening where someone was,
tell me
you were standing over the dead body, at that point.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't start thinking about coping when something just happened. Like, you just find out about it. You're not already, like, in the stage of coping.
It was a random question.
It was super random.
But he's a teacher, and he is a chem teacher, a biochem teacher. He is the driver's ed teacher. He's married with 3 children. All the students love him, so we think. His wife says they love him. Even the principal. The principal didn't really say anything bad about him, other than they had like some kids that said bad things about him, but because he was a hard teacher. And the complaints that even the police went through were like, he favors the girl over the boys because boys are smarter. Like, that's not really a complaint.
It's not a legit. There's nothing backing up what he was saying at that point.
No, and they did paint him to be this great teacher who like donates his time for driver's ed. And they start, you know, obviously he gets hit by a car, so they start trying to find things with the car and the light, and because the light was broken, so they have pieces of the plastic, and now they have pieces of the paint, and now it has Bondo, so now you know it's been fixed, and it goes back to the driver's ed car, which, of course, they try to run prints, and there's like 100 and something prints because it's the driver's ed car.
The driver's
For the
ed
past
car.
6 years.
Yeah, which, I mean, come on.
It's a lot of hands.
I did think it was weird when they started to paint the picture of the teacher as not a good teacher. Because they brought so the first young girl that they talked to is the one that is in the coma because she tried to kill herself with her mom's pain medicine, because supposedly she had sent a half-naked picture to the teacher to get a better grade. And still at this point, like, we don't have this weird picture of this teacher because the parents are saying, we wrote her too hard. She's trying to get into Harvard. But then the next girl that they bring in claims that he asked for oral sex for the grade.
And she was expelled because of him.
Yeah, because he planted weed.
Which we find out he planted weed.
That's intense.
That's a lot to go through to cover your own butt and to continue to do it.
He wasn't covering his butt. He was covering something else.
Well,
in the front.
in the front.
That we can't say on AfterBuzz TV.
But, you know, after this one girl comes after you and it's like, no, I'm going to report you. I have, you know, this.
Yeah.
And then you ruin her life. Wouldn't you pump the brakes on your whole operation for a little bit? Or at
You
least
would, I would think.
maybe-
Or you know what? People do things until they don't get away with it anymore, and I guess now he finally didn't.
And I feel like from what the girl, obviously he hasn't stopped, and obviously he's doing it to more than one girl. So I
And
feel
some
like
of the girls are doing it, and they're probably loving it. He was not my kind of teacher. Just
well,
saying.
and that's the thing. I
Not
feel
your
like
type.
He's not my type of teacher.
all of these girls, even though he said and did what he did, all had said the same thing at the beginning, that he was like a god to them. He made them love science. Like, he made them want to be biochemists. So there was definitely something about him that made girls want to take his class and want to be the smart kid and want to get into that. But I don't know that they thought that this was going to be the way to get a good grade. And they start going through all the motions of the picture of the girl that is in the coma, because that picture is also leaked onto a social media page, which is similar to like an Instagram or Facebook. And they realized that when the picture was sent, she was in class.
Yeah.
It was a couple.
time.
Well, no, it was a couple hours before she committed suicide. So it was when she would have been without her phone.
Because he took them.
Right. So they were watching a video or something.
Because he had that weird shed.
Right. And so
I feel like, note to anyone that is still in school that listens to our AfterBuzz podcast, if a teacher invites you to a shed, run in the opposite direction fast.
same thing with cars. Yeah. Don't
The
get
more you know.
Don't get don't go anywhere that you don't think you should be.
Yeah, like date shed with a teacher.
Why didn't the principal know about the shed?
Because he hid it.
Well, I know that, but even the principal should know that, like, there's this shed on campus.
I bet he knew about it.
But he didn't tell the police, like, oh, this is his shed. Maybe there's something here. You know, they
Even
come
when he
and
asked
look
for
at
the key.
Yeah, what
they
is this
probably-
key to? You shouldn't have a key that your janitor can't get into on a campus.
Yeah, because they probably knew that he had the shed because it was all his driver's ed stuff.
yeah.
And if and I don't know about where you guys grew up, but where I grew up, driver's ed and my school were separate. So the driver's ed wouldn't have been part of the school that the school wouldn't have necessarily needed to know. They would have just had the space for the cars, and they probably had a shed for all the equipment, like the cones to teach the kids to
Right.
drive around. So the school wouldn't necessarily need to ever get in there because the school doesn't monitor driver's ed.
Okay.
Right? So I
Yeah.
think that kind of makes sense. But that still doesn't allow you students should not have to go in there with him.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have a semen-filled couch.
That was creepy.
That was.
But you know what? When I took driver's ed, they took our phones away from us. Not that all of us had phones then. We had a lot more of us had pagers then. But they took all that from us. So that I thought wasn't super creepy.
Yeah, that's not.
No,
creepy.
that's not. Especially if you're like now in this day and age where you're teaching like to not text and drive. I think it makes sense, but just tied into the rest of this scariness, like why in the shed? A, is there like this secret lock, and then B, there's a couch inside.
Covered with bodily fluids.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you think that, like, if it is property of the school, too, that he wouldn't be the only one with the key?
It wouldn't have been property of the school. That's what I was saying.
Oh, right. But, I mean, that's just weird, though, because it was on school grounds and, like...
But it wouldn't have been property of the school because, like...
But he taught
and they
drivers ed
said
for
that.
free.
Right, because the city didn't have the money to do it, so he did it out of his own
volunteered.
time. He volunteered to do it.
So it's like
but
when-
it's not a school program, it's a city program.
Weird.
So the city may have had a key, but if you walked into that shed, would you have known that he was making kids give him oral sex? No, because he had all the cones and the driver's ed
Right.
stuff.
I mean, I guess
So-
it's weird, though, that he'd have a couch in the shed. Like, the shed should be for, like, tools and, like, like the things that he uses, not a couch. Unless they want him to sleep on the job, but he seemed to be quite busy.
He was clearly very busy.
He was
He's
busy
getting
getting
busy.
busy. He was staying up all night to get lucky.
He
Boom!
He was.
And he took
Good job.
Viagra. What a creeper.
Clearly not for his wife who just had a C-section, but for the 16-year-old little girls that he wanted to get. It's really gross.
Clearly,
Like,
he was getting it at home. So why did he need 16-year-old girls going?
with
had
3 kids,
three
he
kids.
clearly
People
wasn't
do
having
that.
a
I don't know.
problem.
It's
Yeah,
super creepy.
I mean, she keeps getting pregnant, so
Super creepy,
you're doing
guys.
something.
Yeah, he clearly had a problem. Not anymore because he got run over. But so through the videos and the what they looked at, which was like a Facebook, they find that the 3 girls who were the first girls that they talked to, which Jen and Tiona are so smart that it's always the first people, and I can't wait till next week to see if they're right again. I hope they're not.
We always are right. We're always right.
I hope they're not. But yeah, so the 4 girls, when they found the car, which was a driver's ed car, and then they found the shed, there was blue thread in both of those places, because apparently the teenagers weren't that smart. But they found the 4 girls, and they were 4 best friends that had this like friend pack that they would be together and die for each other and weird things that I've never said to not one of my friends. Did you guys do that?
No, I wouldn't say I'd die for you. That's like extreme. Why are you even thinking about people dying?
It was a
I'd
weird
be like, I love
pact.
you, BFF, AEAE, always and forever, or whatever those letters all stood for. You could add in like 900 letters after BFF, and it meant like a lot of dramatic things. But it was never, I'll die for you.
No, it was a weird pact. Like I had a best friend necklace, but I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever had a pact with any of my friends like that.
No.
That's
'Cause-
weird.
And like a secret handshake. I feel like boys had handshakes.
No, girls had like little like games you play, like those like
It was like an
hand games.
Olsen twins, like smack, smack,
Right.
boom.
But
Yeah, I
like
didn't have that.
handshakes, not so much.
No, we
For
totally had a
sororities,
secret-
like you have handshakes to get in. It's like your secret password, but like not for a regular.
Really?
Totes.
That's why I'm not a part. See, clearly why I was not
Totes.
a part of sorority.
I was just friends with boys, so this whole
Yeah.
girl thing in general kind of perplexes me.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what I don't understand.
I don't get it.
But here's what blows my mind is not only are the 3 girls smart enough to get this whole thing down where now the teacher's dead because, you know, their best friend tried to commit suicide because he wanted oral sex for an A. But they all figure out that if each of the 3 of them tell the exact same story to each of the officers, that really they can't. We shouldn't even be telling the world this, but we are, which just scares me.
I want to look into this further. Let's bing it because I don't really. There's got
I've
to be
seen it
something.
in a movie before too.
It's like Double Jeopardy. Like if
Yeah.
you can't kill the same person twice or something like that.
Well,
but
no,
that's not this.
double jeopardy is you can't charge the same person with the same thing. But this is not that. This is the 3 girls all told the same story,
Right.
so that they.
Like they're all confessing.
What about lie detectors? Like there could have been more to this. I feel like it stopped short.
I don't think they could do that because they didn't really have
They
that
don't
much
have any
evidence to go off of.
They have no evidence.
At this
They
point,
have a
they're-
car. that has 160 fingerprints. They have one piece of blue thread. All 3 girls are wearing the same
But why didn't they
bracelet.
take, like, I don't know, like some kind of like DNA from that blue thread? Like, it's a I mean, I guess it's not a fingerprint, but like it touches you.
I mean, but the other thing is that they're in the driver's ed class, so they would have been in the car, they would have been in the shed.
They all would
it
have
doesn't
been in
connect them
those
to the
places.
crime.
Right.
It's just
There
was
gotta
no
be something
substantial
else.
evidence.
Yeah, they have no
There was
evidence
nothing.
except for their confession, and their confession
They
is that they
all
all
three.
confessed.
And there's no
So-
cameras at the school. There's nothing to like show. There's no.
Well, because they
Were
were
there
driving.
cameras at your school? Because there was never cameras at my
yeah,
school.
like not
Where
like
did you go to school?
an awesome one in Aventura. I
I
don't
was
know.
like, that's so funny.
There were cameras.
never
I remember like over the school, like off the top of the buildings,
Really?
so you could see the perimeter. I could be making this up, but I'm pretty sure they were there, or something was up there. Something was there.
I know. Yeah, there were no cameras. I mean, maybe nowadays there are, but there were no cameras at my school. Like, I'm 85. I walked uphill with no shoes and
In the
5
snow.
feet of snow.
Back
and I
in my
carried
day,
books
I
because
tell
they had
ya.
no backpacks. No, I'm not even that old. But yeah, we didn't have cameras at our school either. So it was just crazy because they
knew.
clearly knew that by all telling the exact same story and by all confessing, because they didn't just tell the same story and say this and this happened. Like, they all confessed to killing him. So with 3 confessions and nobody turning, they couldn't convict anyone.
And they even brought them in a second time, and they still said the same thing. They
Yeah.
said, "I did
Yeah.
it. I did it. I did it. Who was driving? I was driving. I was driving."
Talk about a friendship.
That is loyalty right there.
And Jane said, "Well, that's such a beautiful thing at the end." And Maura said, "What?" She said, "A beautiful friendship." I don't think that's a beautiful friendship. There's something about that that's creepy to me.
The fact that they took it this far is creepy, but you hear about girls turning against each other all the time and over
True.
catty stuff.
True.
But it is kind of nice to show, that these girls, no matter what the cops try to say, they're minors. They refuse to have parents or lawyers, and they stuck to their story and stood their ground for their friend.
Okay,
Yeah.
but let's talk about they probably should have went to the cops before they killed someone.
This is true.
Just throwing that out there.
There are many other options, like maybe talking to the principal and like all of them having the same story, rallying a bunch of people together, so it's not just the 3 of them making the same story up, but like there could have been more.
And Jane
He's
said,
one teacher in a whole school.
yeah, and Jane said that it could have been an accident because it could have been that they stopped to put their story could have been true, that they were trying to catch him in the act.
Right.
They ran to the car to get away. It was an accident. He jumped out of nowhere. We thought
I mean,
that
he
came-
really did.
Yeah, it could have all been an accident.
Right.
So
Well,
And they were trying to catch him, but why would they delete the video? That I still didn't really understand.
because I don't know, then it would prove who really did it, who was really there.
who was actually in the
Yeah,
shed.
it would prove who was really in the shed. So then that person might not have been driving, and that would have,
Right. So then that does make more sense why it was an accident then.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't try to kill him. They just tried to get him caught on camera. But then
Yeah.
the rest happened.
I don't
so.
think their intent was to kill.
Well, one of the 3 girls was a killer. We will not find out who because no one was convicted. But while we're talking about killers,
Oh, good segue.
I mean, we are talking about killers, and they are not serial killers, but I do want you guys to go and check out Serial Buddies, which is, if you haven't heard us talk about it before, our AfterBuzz creators, Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro, created a hysterical movie called Serial Buddies. It's kind of like Dexter meets Dumb and Dumber. It's really, really funny, and if you haven't gone out and downloaded it and bought it yet, we would love you to, because it helps support them, which helps support us, because they have given us this to bring these great shows to you at no cost, and we'd like you to help them out. So check it out and laugh a little, and don't kill teachers, even if they're bad people. Go to the police. But with that said, the awkward family time tonight with Jane tripping and hurting herself.
It was a weird storyline throughout, I would think, because it sort of took her out of this. Like, maybe was she busy this episode? Like, had other stuff going on in her life that...
Something was off.
Because they removed her from a lot of the storyline, and then they brought her back, and then she would like use the tablet to see like.
I actually really liked that part.
It was cool technology wise, but like, what was the point?
I liked that they showed how stubborn she was. That even though she was hurt, she would not go to the doctor. She would not even let Maura do it. Like, I like that they showed that part, because that's consistent with who she is
Yeah.
and who she's been through all the seasons. And I also liked that because of her being kind of down, it enabled her to talk about it a lot more. So we got to hear about Casey and see Casey this episode, which we haven't heard about him or seen him in a couple of weeks.
I actually forgot about him for once. And I'm usually the one that's like, bring him back.
Yeah. And I like that they, you know, now that he's away, they're talking a lot more and they're Skyping and they're sending mushy emails. And she was worried that the government's going to look at their emails because they look at all of our emails, supposedly, but they really don't care about the mushy emails, which I thought was cute. And I liked the Skype moment.
Me too.
I thought that
endearing.
it was
That
really
was really
sweet
cute.
because to see her like giddy and girly and sweet, we don't really get to do.
It felt genuine. That
It
moment.
did. The whole Raphael thing, still, I just don't understand.
I'm
Help
perplexed.
me.
What's his end game?
Right.
So
Is he flirting? Is he
Now he's
trying
flirting.
to be nice? But why now?
I don't know. Maura was pushing it the whole time, which I just thought was kind of
That is not
odd.
flirting.
Well, when he came up and was like, I would buy you a drink, but I know you have to get home to
But even
heal
before
your
that,
foot.
the car,
But she's
like,
out.
But even before that, like he tries to take her car. He looks through her to the car and then takes it for the drug unit.
Like, what was his whole point to the storyline today?
To show him being back because I forgot about him.
Well, right. But I also think that they are setting it up for her to have to make a decision between Raphael and Casey.
Agreed.
Because I think that Maura is right, that he's really freaking awkward. And that's the way that he flirts, by like taking her car and then impounding her mom's car because he's worried about her and making her drive the coffee car. And like,
It's just weird.
it was really weird. But it was creepy because he doesn't just talk to her. And if you're not watching us on YouTube right now and you're listening to us, I'm going to apologize in advance because this is a visual. But when he talks to her, this is Jane and this is Raphael. He gets real close like this.
Yes.
And he gets real serious. And he says, because we were worried about you.
It is
Like,
weird.
it's weird.
It's weird.
It's really weird. And I don't understand why he does it.
Maybe they said, get intimate, and then they filmed it, but it was like too close after. I don't know. It was weird. Super weird. But he
He doesn't look
yeah.
like he's flirting. He looks like he wants to eat her.
or wear her clothes, maybe? I don't know.
yeah.
Or
Maybe
her
take
skin.
her skin. He wants to skin her.
Right.
He could be a Hannibal.
What if that's what this season comes to? That Raphael's actually a serial killer.
Okay, that would be amazing.
That would really be the dark turn that they've been telling us has been coming for a while, which we still haven't seen. But I did make the prediction long ago. No, okay. I was going to sing a song, but never to walk again in anyone's shadows. He, I think, is going to be a point of contention between her and Casey because
Yeah, for sure.
they're like dragging this Casey storyline out forever, and now they're dragging out the Martinez storyline forever, and they got rid of Tommy again, and I just don't understand where the characters go and come.
They go work on other projects, Jen.
Well, I get that, and I'm very
probably
happy for that.
No, I want this whole Raphael thing. I just want him to be an adult and stop acting like a kindergartner.
It's weird.
It's weird. That part is weird. I know that in real life people do still do this in
They do.
adulthood,
And it's
but
still
you're
it's annoying.
Yeah, you're
whether
a
it's in
cop.
real life
Yeah,
or on TV.
It's annoying. You're a cop.
Right.
Man up. You carry a gun, for Christ's sake. Like,
and not only that, but like, doesn't it make you question why she would ever date someone like that?
Yeah.
Like Jane, really? What were you
Totally
thinking?
weird. Totally weird.
It's weird. I do love that everyone was yelling at her for her ankle because she would not elevate
Yes.
it. And I really liked that. Like everyone, like Frost was on her case. And we actually see Frost have a moment tonight, which we see the Frost and
What happened to that?
Frankie like banter between the girl, but we see him have this moment with the coffee shop girl who none of us like because she called Jane a bitch last week, which I can say that on AfterBuzz TV because it was used on the show in context.
But like, whatever happened to that police officer lady from last week that we had such a big issue with? Like, they gave her so many lines. They made her like a crucial
she's
part of the
gone.
storyline. I know, but then why? Like,
budget cuts.
these tangential characters though kill me because
What word was that?
tangential.
And that means
Someone's been reading her SAT books.
right.
What?
Listen, I may have a cold, but I remember.
And what does it mean?
They're like side
For those of us who
stories. They're
don't
like on the
speak that
side.
language?
They're just not really part of it. They're like,
Well, she was important for the
Additional.
car. She was important because they had to have somebody standing with the car that no longer works from the gun that helped solve the crime.
Like, maybe, I mean, but
The
they
car
did.
could have just been sitting there. We could have seen the reaction.
Then how would we have known if it wasn't working if she wasn't on the radio?
Because maybe a sound would have happened, like a.
No.
Well, they did leave it where they could bring her back in, and it would be a familiar face.
Season 9.
Unlike the DA that we saw tonight, who we were like, where'd she come from?
I was so confused by the DA.
At least this cop, if she ever comes back and be like, oh, that's the cop from that time.
And have we ever seen a DA on Rizzoli Isles before?
I've never seen a lawyer there before.
Never. I was like, Law and Order SVU, what happened? Because normally we see the chief, but maybe the chief had to be on mental vacation because of the whole Patty Doyle situation. So I was
I
like,
haven't
maybe
seen him
she's
since then.
no, and I thought maybe she was like the sub chief, but you were like, no, she was a DA. I must have missed that part.
I missed it too.
But Frost has the moment with the coffee girl,
It was a weird moment.
Netta.
Netta, is that her
I think
name?
that's what he
that her
called
name?
her.
They have a
Netta.
weird moment in the coffee shop, and then she comes to visit him at work, and everyone's on his case, which I liked seeing them on someone else's case other than Jane and Maura for
Yeah.
once.
Well, they should be. Everyone's seen that YouTube video. You can't go after the
No.
girl who called your partner a bitch.
Right. And just the fact that like they tried to make him look stupid, like, oh, somebody else is doing your work, and and then Mama Rizzoli comes and she's like, are you good enough for my Frost? Because he's kind of my family. It was just this really cute moment.
I
of
thought
that.
she was gonna pour coffee on that girl.
I wanted her to pour coffee on her.
I would have loved that moment so much more if she was like, remember that girl that you called a bitch on YouTube? That's my daughter.
Right.
Sorry, I can't stop playing with my paper.
But I agree with that. Like a little bit more of like that was like so anticlimactic. And the only thing that happened was like Vince came down. Corsac was like, come back to work.
They made Frost look stupid.
They did, and he actually made himself look stupid with the way he was flirting, which I don't know. That was
Actually,
like weird.
It's detective.
I'm a detective.
And like he makes this like little face, which if you're listening, you can't see it, but you saw the episode, so you know it. But it's like
Yeah. It's just weird.
I like that reenactment.
It's awkward.
It's awkward.
he reminds me of a frog or something like a cartoon frog almost.
A frog.
Don't ask me why, but he reminds me of something strange and smiley, which is cute for flirting. But like, I feel like they do a lot of weird faces at each other and not a lot of talking. Anybody?
Yeah.
It was
He was.
Like lingering looks.
He's always done that though. I feel like between puking and solving crimes, he does have a lot of lingering looks, which I think is why we love Frost.
He's muy romantico.
But the moral of the story is, teacher dead, 3 girls, 1 basically because
Yeah, that was it. Have we ever seen an episode where like the crime was not solved?
no, Tiona and I
Yeah.
were just saying that. I don't think that we've ever seen one that the crime was kind of solved, but not really because we don't really know because the secret lies between those 3 girls.
It was like a truce or like a
Pact.
yeah. I mean,
Ride together, die together.
no,
Bad
but like
girls for
just
life.
weird that like no one won or lost. I guess it was just a stalemate.
Stalemate.
There we go.
Well,
Another word.
I know that one though. When you use
Good.
really big ones that I don't understand, I just for our viewers and listeners, I have to ask what they mean so everyone knows, not because
good.
I don't know.
True.
I hear we have some news and gossip this week.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, in ratings news, according to Zaptuit.com, Rizzoli Isles topped cable viewership for the week of August 4 with 5.328 million viewers.
Wow.
Yes, and NASCAR Sprint Cup coverage was second with 5.063 million viewers. So Rizzoli took it.
We need all those Rizzoli viewers to be listening to us.
Yeah.
Hello, millions of people. Where are you? Also, Forbes.com posted that Rizzoli Isles' home, TNT US, contributes close to 16% to Time Warner's value.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big
That's
chunk of that.
valuable.
Yeah, TNT has won the title of Basic Cable's top network in prime time among key adult demographics for Q2 of 2013.
I mean,
Quarter 2.
TNT's got some really great
Yeah.
shows
They
on
do.
their network right
we
now.
cover a lot of those. You cover Suits, right?
Suits,
Yes, I do.
Franklin and Bash, Rizzoli and Isles is really good. I haven't seen the new one, Maxwell and King.
Yeah, I haven't
They
seen
like
that
2
yet
names,
either, but
apparently.
2 names
They
work.
do. They like
2 names work.
partnerships.
Partnerships
Oh,
work.
who doesn't
Cop
like-
and lawyer partnerships work. And I feel like crime dramas, although sometimes they're difficult to talk about afterwards, are the most enjoyable shows for me. Like
Yeah.
I love the Law and Order SVUs and Castles, and I like crime drama. So
Yeah. I like them too because they like start something and like finish it. Like the storyline
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
wraps itself up with a little bow and then
Yep.
we move on.
I like it.
So in Angie news, Her birthday's August 10th, like we told you last
Yes.
week. So we're coming up to celebrate that this week. Wonder what she's going to be doing. And newsbusters.org posted that she threw her back out so badly that she spent the past 2 days on the floor, which is ironic because she was hurt in this episode.
Ooh.
Newsbusters hopes that everybody will join them in wishing her a speedy recovery. And she, back in 2009, said they were her favorite news outlet.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so they're a big fan of her, obviously.
Who
And
isn't
finally,
a big fan of her?
I know. She's gorge. I want to be her when I grow up.
Me too.
Anywho, the Huffington Post posted a story called Divorce Cause. Study suggests parents of firstborn girls are more likely to split. They also included a trivia slideshow which showed celebrity custody battles, and Lorraine Bracco was part of this group of photos. When they asked which actor's failed battle for full custody of his daughter lasted 6 years. Answers, we'll play this game unless you know already who Lorraine's ex-husband was, but A. Al Pacino, B. Robert De Niro, C. Harvey Keitel, and D. James Gandolfini. Who do we think it was?
C.
Anybody? That's it?
See?
Marissa?
I'll go with B.
Okay, great. The answer was C. Harvey Keitel. Well done, guys. Well
I copied
done.
you.
Did you know that, or were you
No,
guessing?
I was guessing. Well, because either Al Pacino or Robert De Niro's ex-wife is black, so I knew it wasn't him.
That's Robert.
Right. So I
Yeah.
knew it wasn't him. And then the other one's still married. And then James Gandolfini,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Right.
Because, yeah. So it was process of elimination.
I love that.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Good job.
So though never, well, I guess they're not exes, but though never married, Harvey and Lorraine both sought full custody of their daughter Stella after the split. During the custody battle, Harvey accused Bracco of cheating on him with actor Edward James Olmos, who she actually went on to marry and then divorce, while she allegedly claimed that Keitel was abusive. So they had a million, accusations,
Wow.
I guess, against each other. So Bracco was awarded full custody, though. So,
Okay.
yeah, Lorraine.
Oh,
Go
good
ahead.
Drama.
Drama.
Drama. Lots of drama, news, and gossip today.
Oh, yeah.
We don't get that very often, do we?
No.
I mean, I guess we can try some predictions. I guess.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So,
Someone's going to die.
someone's going to die. They may or may not find the killer, because this week we didn't really find the killer.
Which is still so weird to me.
So weird. Next week looked like an interesting storyline, but it seems
did.
like it could possibly be a fluff episode again because they made this one look like it was going to be super dark and dirty, and then it was sort of like friendship.
It was dark and dirty.
Yeah.
It
though.
was dark.
was-
It just felt like they focused more on like the less dark stuff, but the subtext was dark.
The subtext
Yeah.
was really dark. It was dark and creepy, and I don't want to think about it.
Right.
But yeah, so that's why I think they had to focus on the girls.
Right.
But next week does look a little bit darker.
Darker.
So
And not that we're particularly dark people, but they sort of set up the season as being a dark season.
I'm filled with darkness. My heart is filled with darkness.
Lady in Pink is filled with
Filled with darkness. Yeah, no, but next week looks good.
It does.
Yeah.
We don't get too much of the preview because we pre-tape, so
Yeah.
we get the end cut off. But somebody dies, and Rizzoli Isles are there. What a surprise!
Send us your predictions.
Yes, send us your predictions. By the way, guys, go to iTunes, rate and comment. Go to YouTube, comment. We love reading your comments. I loved your snapshot last week of what did Jen say to make me make this face.
That
So
was genius.
that was fun. Ladies, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiona Hobson.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jen the Jew.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Krisily, because we're all really, really, really good at picking names. I hope you guys have an awesome night tonight, and we'll see you next week on Rizzoli Isles here at AfterBuzz TV.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.